Hey, my friend, and welcome to Aligned to Rise, the podcast for ambitious women who are ready to rise above their symptoms, release old limitations, and fully rise into their true power and potential. I'm your host, Alyssa Chavez, functional nutritionist, performance coach, and former endo and infertility warrior who knows what it's like to feel held back by your body and your beliefs. I've taken a journey of true healing from the inside out so that I can show up feeling great in my body, confident and unstoppable. And now I'm here to help you do the same. Through a blend of functional nutrition and deep mindset work, this show will empower you to reclaim your vitality, trust your intuition, and live unapologetically in your purpose. If you're ready to align your body, mind, and spirit so you can rise to your highest potential, you're in the right place. Let's rise, my friend. This show was created for educational purposes only and should not be used as a replacement for medical advice or treatment. Hey, my friend, welcome back to Aligned to Rise. I have a special guest for you today. Her name is Laura Haraka, and she is fabulous. Most importantly, I really want you to hear her story. I feel like we've been talking a fair amount about pain and chronic pain on the podcast lately. As somebody who has struggled in the past with endometriosis, I know just how much pain can really impact your life. And Laura is very, very familiar with that as well, as she is going to share with you all today. So she, like so many of us, spent years searching for a medical diagnosis when she started having chronic pain and just wasn't getting the answers that she needed. So she ended up really digging into mind-body work and breath work, and she has so much to share about those modalities. She's really dedicated her life to those and has been able to really get herself out of chronic pain in a rather unconventional way that I think is so important to hear, just because we all know of kind of the conventional routes as far as medical doctors and what they can do, but realistically, sometimes there are just limitations to that type of work. And so I feel like it's so lovely to hear that there are other options out there, to hear how this type of work has really helped other people. So I just know that you're going to love to hear from Laura and everything she has to share. And be sure to listen to the end of this episode because she also shares some free resources with you all, some meditations and breath work and different things that you can find. So be sure to listen in to the very end so that you don't miss out on those resources for yourself. I've given them a try myself and really enjoyed them, and I know that you will as well. All right, my friend, I will let Laura take it away. All right. Well, hello, Laura. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I'm super excited to have you here.
I'm super excited to be here.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so happy we were able to make this happen here today. So I would love if we could start off just by sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you came to be doing what you're doing, so we can learn a little bit about you.
Sure. So my name's Laura, and I am a mom of two daughters. And May 2nd, 2015, my kids were a lot younger then. Now they're 23 and 20. I took my kids to school and I went to the bathroom when I got back. And in that moment, I knew something was terribly wrong. Something just didn't feel right. And a few minutes later, I had to use the bathroom again. So I thought maybe I had a UTI. And I grabbed a yogurt and some juice and thought maybe it would just pass on its own. When it didn't, I decided to go to my primary care doctor, hoping I would just get on an antibiotic and be on my way. But unfortunately, the test results show that there was no infection at all. So at that moment on, I went on a 4-year quest to find relief from my pain. And I went to over 25 doctors all over the United States to find relief. And I was given 10 different diagnoses, all under the umbrella of pelvic pain.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like on a wild goose chase.
Oh, yeah.
So I had multiple tests and I had a lot of procedures, and I'll spare you the details because they were actually very invasive and traumatic. And I even had a surgery to correct what I thought was causing the pain. Now, this quest that I was on, because that's what it was a complete quest, came at a financial cost. I spent thousands of dollars traveling across the country, trying different medications and treatments. So I spent thousands trying to correct an issue. But the more important costs were the guilt and the sadness that I felt from not being available to my two daughters, because that was my main job at the time. And each time I went to a medical professional, they just provided me with false hope and gave me pills. So they gave me oxycodone, Klonopin, gabapentin. So all that happened was I became addicted. And
Hmm.
along with the addiction, I developed clinical depression and anxiety and suicidal ideation. So things were looking really, really bleak until July 17th, 2017. I met a therapist named Caitlin Peterson, and I didn't know it yet, but it was going to be the turning point of my life, actually. And she created a safe place to share. And it was the only time I felt like, oh, I can talk to someone. I can tell them about
Mhm.
my pain. And one day I heard Caitlin coming into the building where she worked and up the steps. And all of a sudden, I see her head pop down the hallway and she jumped back. And I said, what is this woman doing? And dance music started going on, blasting down this building of this hallway. And she starts boogieing down the hallway. So I'm sitting there in sweatpants, a sweatshirt. I looked sad. I was addicted to medications. And I'm like, what do I do with this? Do I look up? What, like, do I laugh? And I had actually no idea what to do. So she dances down the hallway, and she did this every day, every time I met her for months, months. And then we just go in and have our regular appointment. Now, I knew her birthday was coming up in 3 months. So I decided that I would enlist the help of my children, and they were going to help me do a dance for Caitlin because I wanted to dance down this same hallway. So I went home and we found Mandisa Good Morning, and you can find the steps to it online and or on YouTube. And I started learning the steps, and my kids started helping me. And I mentioned the fact that I did this 3 months before. The reason that number is important is it because it took me 3 months to learn this dance because I'm a terrible dancer. But I did. I practiced every single day for 3 months. And you wouldn't believe what happened. My pain changed.
Mm,
And that was aha moment number one, that my pain was not from a physical problem in my body,
mm,
which was amazing to me.
yeah.
And that's when I knew there was something else going on with the pain I had, as opposed to going to doctor on this wild goose chase, which was not helping me at the time anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to look further into this world, and I met someone else, another therapist. Her name's Wendy Newman, and she happens to be a somatic experiencing practitioner, which I never even heard that before, what that meant. And what somatics is just an alternate form of therapy used to treat trauma and stress related disorders in the body and chronic pain. And that's when I realized that there were other sensations in the body besides my pain. And I just wasn't even paying attention to them. So I learned that I could lean into other sensations in my body, pay attention to those, and my pain would go down.
Mm,
And I also realized, which I had no idea, that every single emotion that we have showed up in the body. And when I would tune in to what I was feeling, my pain would actually go down as well. So that was aha moment number two.
Yeah.
And finally, I read a book called The Presence Process, and it taught a type of breath work called conscious connected breath work. And I was like, what do I have to lose? So I started doing this 2 times a day for 20 minutes. And what I didn't know was it was recalibrating my nervous system kind of from stress to rest. Kind of the same way if the lights go off in your house and you have to reset the fuse box, kind of thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
So in this state, my pain went down and started
Yeah.
disappearing. So that was aha moment number three. So I realized that this pain wasn't physical. My pain
Mhm.
was going away. I went back to school and I got my own somatic experiencing practitioner certification, which is a 3 year certification through traumahealing.org. I became certified in 4 different types of breath work, and I became a certified mind body coach and completed Dr. Schubner's programs, 2 of his, and one of Alan Gordon's. And I started Feel to Heal Wellness, which is where I am today, where I help people release limiting beliefs and trauma in their body using somatics and breath work. And I have a membership, the Pelvic Healing Circle, where we do somatic tools, a mind body teaching, and breath work each session. So that's where I am today. Opened my own business because I wanted to do something with what I thought was the worst thing that happened to me in my life. And I
Hmm.
wanted to turn it around and have something good come out of it and help other people.
I love that so much. There's so much beauty in your story. And of course, I'm sure when you were in it years ago when you were just experiencing that pain and just so confused and frustrated and all of the things that were coming up with that, I'm sure it felt, maybe not so much like a gift at that time, but I love that you were able to turn that around and really figure out what was going on in your own health, your own body, and be able to now bring that healing to other people. I just think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it definitely did not feel like a gift then,
Yeah.
I will tell you. But it actually is a gift because it's not only am I free from chronic pain, it actually changed how I live my life today.
Yeah.
I'm more present with my children. I am more present with myself. And I'm really just enjoying life more than I did before the pain happened.
Yeah, I love that. Gosh, I feel like there's so much to unpack within within that story, and you have so many different tools and modalities that you're using. I would love to just talk more about all of that so we can, because like you said, when you went into this initially, you had no idea what somatic experiencing was, or probably even breath work, and it's just it's new to a lot of people who haven't really experienced this stuff. So maybe that would be a good starting point. I know you shared a little bit about what the somatic experiencing is, but I would love if you can just dig into that a little bit more. We'll start with the somatic experiencing and then feel free to segue into the breath work as well, because I know we'd love to hear
Sure.
about all of that. But what really is that?
It's so confusing for people what
Yeah.
somatic experiencing is. And there's also people don't understand the difference between what they call somatic tracking and somatic experiencing.
Okay.
So let me start out with that. So somatic tracking, it's a great modality and it's something that I used to help myself without a doubt. But what it is, it's a mindfulness based practice used in pain reprocessing therapy. And it involves just observing your bodily sensations
Yeah.
with curiosity, safety, and basically not resist non-resistance. And it helps reduce fear and it helps rewire the brain's perception of pain. And the goal is basically just shifting from danger mode to safety mode, just
Mhm.
allowing the nervous system to reinterpret pain as non threatening. And like I said, it's a great practice, and I used it myself. Okay. Now, somatic experiencing is a little different. Somatic experiencing also, it takes a lot longer to get certified in that. It's a 3-year
Sure.
certification. And it's a trauma healing modality. And it was developed by Peter Levine. And it focuses on releasing stored survival energy from the nervous system
Hmm.
by gently tracking bodily sensations and pendulating between things that are not so comfortable to things that are comfortable in the body. And it helps complete unfinished stress responses. And the goal is to basically restore nervous system regulation. So that can be sometimes a little hard to understand for people. It
Yeah.
was for me. So, what I'd like to do is give you an actual example.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me share this story. So I had a client and she was back one of my first clients in 2019, I believe. And she had something called restless leg syndrome, or
Okay.
that's what they called it, right? Because these are just names that
Yeah.
doctors have given us. And I tell
Absolutely.
people to forget the name. Who cares? Let's just work with the bodily sensations. So she had a son that was abusive. He was addicted to drugs and he was abusing her physically. So we got to know her legs. We were with her legs because they were giving her a message, and it was an action that wasn't able to be completed. What I mean by that, those legs never got to kick back and they never got to run away because she didn't want to hurt her son. And who would want to do that? So, through our somatic experiencing sessions, we were able to let the legs complete the action that needed to be completed. They needed to run and they needed to kick. Now, that could take place actually making the movements
Hmm.
or through visualization.
Okay.
And now that we were able to do that, I'd say within a few sessions of really allowing the action to be completed, the legs were much calmer and she no longer has restless leg syndrome.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's really really cool. So both modalities are good. Somatic tracking and somatic experiencing. And the reason is because they both involve bodily awareness.
Yeah.
You know,
That's so cool.
we're not going to get better just keep talking about the story,
Sure.
right? We want to feel things in our body
Hmm.
and allow them to be there. So they're really both great modalities, but somatic experiencing is just a broader approach to trauma healing and nervous system regulation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always find it to be so fascinating too, and this is something that I feel like I'm learning more and more about as time goes on here, how we think that physical symptoms are caused by something physical in our bodies. Hence your story where you're going to doctor after doctor, having surgery, trying to figure out what's going on in there. But gosh, how common is it? Probably always that that there's really something deeper than that going on. There's a reason that our bodies are behaving in certain ways, are presenting certain symptoms to us. And at the end of the day, it's that. It's our body sending us messages and sending us signals about what's going on a deeper level. And when you're actually able to figure out what's going on and release that and experience that, that can be so life changing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, it's like kind of when we're holding on to a secret and
Yeah.
not sharing it, it actually hurts our body.
Yes. Absolutely. And I think anybody can probably bring to mind some time that they were experiencing an emotion and had a physical response to it, even if it's as simple as you're feeling nervous about something coming up and you get a stomach ache, or
Right.
you're having a really stressful day and you get a headache. You know, we have those kind of day-to-day examples that can come up that tend to be kind of more acute but more immediate. But when we have chronic symptoms, you know, there's chronic pain coming up or some sort of chronic experience in your body, then maybe there's some kind of chronic sort of emotion that's happening or something that needs to be released from the body.
Right, right. And the
Yeah.
reason that these symptoms become chronic is due to the fear we have on them
Yeah.
and hyper focusing on them,
Yeah.
right? So now these symptoms, there's an emotional charge behind the symptoms as well as the
Hmm.
emotion that we have to feel in order to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love if you can even unpack that a little bit more because that's such a great point to highlight there. Just that whole idea of the more attention that you're bringing to that symptom, the more you're going to start to experience it and vice versa. I would love if you could talk more about that
Yeah.
because even circling back to your story, you were talking about how as you were dancing, which seems completely unrelated to your chronic pelvic pain, that your pain started to lessen. And how often does that happen too when you're because it's probably what was happening and this is my assumption and feel free to clarify this, but what I'm gathering there is just you were focused on trying to learn these dance moves, which were difficult to learn. And you're probably, hopefully, having some fun while doing it, laughing while you're like trying to learn these steps, laughing at yourself, and just kind of taking yourself out of that day-to-day mindset that you had of I'm in pain, I'm focused on my pain, I'm trying to fix my pain, and now I'm going to shift my focus over here and try to learn these cool dance moves, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the way I explain it to my clients is if we had two plants and one plant is on a windowsill where the light is shining in, it's getting sun, and you take time and you water that plant. And maybe you just say how beautiful it is. You leave the blinds open so the sun can come in. And the other plant is on the other windowsill and the blinds are closed and you don't water it. You might even give it a dirty look as you walk by, right? So, what happens to the one that you focus on? It grows,
Yeah.
right? So, it's the same thing with our symptoms. When we focus on our pain, it can grow. And it really matters the intention that you put behind something. So, I want to clarify that because if people are listening and they're saying, oh, she got better using the Mandisa Good Morning song, I'm going to Google that on YouTube and do this every day because I want to get better too. Well, if you hate dancing or for some reason don't like Mandisa or that song, and you go into it saying, oh, I got to get up this morning and do
Yes.
the Mandisa song and dance so I get better, and you really don't want to do it, it's not going to work.
Yes.
So it's the intention behind what you're doing. So I encourage you to pick something that you love to do.
Mhm.
It was something that gave me a newfound connection with my kids that I had lost. It
Mhm.
was fun. They were making fun of me because I'm a bad dancer, and we laughed and it was a great time.
Yeah.
So I not only was doing something to serve myself, creating a new neural pathway, a new habit
Hmm.
in my brain, and it also took the focus off. I was having fun, and the intention behind it was really good. And my intention was I wanted to do something for someone that really helped me.
Yeah.
Now, on a somatic level, I'll just say this to your listeners if they want to do this little experiment with me, which was the first thing how I explain it to my clients. So, if you take your hand and you hold your hand up and let the palm face down, and you can hold the bottom of your elbow with your other hand or let it lean on your desk if you like, and just start paying attention to your hand for a moment, putting all your awareness on your hand. You might start to feel the weight of your hand and putting your awareness on the temperature of your hand, noticing the palm, noticing the top of your hand, and even putting your awareness on each finger from the thumb all the way to the pinky. And see if you start noticing any heaviness, any tingling, any pulsing. Yeah. And then you can just take your hand down a minute. And before we started this little experiment, I bet you weren't even paying attention to the fact that you had a hand at all.
True.
So I'm going to ask you what you noticed when you were doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know you guys can't see this as you're listening to the podcast, but I was totally doing it right along with her, and that was super interesting. For me, I started to just really feel the pulse. Like I could just feel the blood pulsing through every single fingertip, and just having that awareness that, like you said, just I hadn't been paying attention to just moments before.
Exactly. Because when we're just sitting here talking, we're not paying attention to the fact that we even have a hand attached to
Yeah.
our arm, right? So that's something your listeners can do to start sensing into something else, another part of your body that feels pleasant or neutral. And it doesn't have to be your hand, it could
Hmm.
be your feet, it could be your earlobes, it could be your nose,
Yep.
because there usually is one part of your body that feels okay or a
Yeah.
little bit better.
Hmm. And it's likely a body part that you don't really notice that much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, not focusing on it, your symptoms can really help the
Hmm.
symptoms go down or vanish.
Yeah, absolutely. I know something that I used to do, and I'm sure we'll talk about breath work as well. So I'm sure you can speak more to this as well. But I know because my history is with endometriosis, which of course also comes with a lot of pain. And one thing that I found myself really doing when I was really in those pain flares is that like it would just all my attention would be on that. That's all I could focus on, to the point where sometimes I would actually find myself start to panic. Like I was, my breathing would change, and I would almost go into like that full panic mode of just, oh my gosh, I don't know what's happening. This is never going to go away. Just all these spiraling thoughts. And so one of the tools that I started to use is I would lie down on my bed, just flat on my back, and close my eyes. I would often put on some kind of sound frequency, just something calming, and listen to that, and then just focus on my breathing. And I didn't even really have a specific technique to it. It was just, I'm just going to listen to the sound, and I'm going to focus on my breathing and just trying to slow it down, because I was, having those short panicked breaths, and I was like, okay, I need to calm myself down. I know that. So, I would just breathe and focus on that deep breathing and let my awareness come there. And every time I did that, my pain would come down a lot, just dramatically. And like I said, there was really no specific technique behind it. Just it was just an awareness of, I know I'm breathing this way, and that's not serving me. I need to be breathing this way. Because I do have a
Right.
history with yoga and meditation and all of that as well. I've been practicing that for many years. So that was kind of something that came into my awareness. But I would love to hear more about the breath work side of it as well, because you're certified in 4 different types of breath work, which is awesome. This is why you and I get along well too, because I'm kind of the same way, where it's like if I learn one thing, like that's cool and I'm super excited about it, but now there's this other cool thing and I want to bring that in too, because there's so many things that can help people. And so I would love to hear about that. First of all, just what is breath work? How can that be helpful for people? And then if you'd like to dig into just the different modalities of breath work, and how you decide what to use, what situations to
Mhm.
use certain types of breath work, I'd be super interested to hear about that as well.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it's interesting because the breath is life force. The breath is energy. And it's one of the things in life that happens, or part of our body that happens automatically, and that we can also control. And the breath can help us regulate our nervous system. So it's a really great way to be mindful, come back into our bodies, and really reconnect with ourselves. So I am a little bit of an overachiever, and I am stopping myself from taking any more certifications. So right now I'm just in the process of continually teaching.
Yeah.
So I do I took a certification from Yoga Body, which was great, and it taught yogic breathwork, which were easy, quick ways to regulate your nervous system. And it was he actually had a little bit of a spin on it, the instructor, which I liked. We hear about 4x4 breathing, box breathing,
Mhm.
4x8 breathing. These are all things people usually know about. But what he did, the instructor, was he told us to do it using the ocean breath,
Hmm.
which really actually was, it intensified not the breath, but the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. And it really helped activate our vagus nerve.
Yeah.
So, using the ocean breath to do these quick little breathing techniques really was the key for me to having this feel different. And what I did was I started using the ocean breath 3 times a day. And I was like, oh, I really feel great. My body feels so much better. And then I said to myself, well, why am I just doing it 3 times a day? Why don't I just switch how I'm breathing to breathing by the ocean breath all the time? So now, when I'm on with a client or when you're speaking, let's say, I am breathing using the ocean breath. So I found it so helpful that I offer it for free on my YouTube. So if anyone is
Awesome.
listening, all they have to do is put Feel to Heal Wellness in and look, scroll down or put the ocean breath in, and it will teach you how to do it. And for free on there, I also have the additional breaths, the 4x4 breathing and the box breathing, triangle
Awesome.
breathing, all different kinds using the ocean breath because it had such a lasting effect on me. I just wanted to share it with people that they could have access to it at any time they like.
Very cool. Love that. I'll be definitely going to check that out myself.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And then the other type of breathing I used was through somatic experiencing, and it's called circle breathing. And like I said before, the breath is energy. And I just thought the breath goes in our lungs, it goes in our diaphragm. I didn't know that you can get this breath to move to different parts of our body. It can go into our back, it can go into our legs, and we can actually control it. And what happens with pain is sometimes pain gets stuck in a little
Yeah.
part, in a part of our body, maybe like for me and you, our pelvic region, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what this breath work does is it moves the breath around the body, helping things basically get unstuck. And I also have this breath for free on Insight Timer, which is an app, and I am on the free version. You do not have to pay for the app in order to get this. There are 3 types of circle breathing that I have on the app and they're all specific for people that have different pain conditions around their pelvis
Nice.
because it brings the breath around the pelvis. So you do not have to pay for the app. You can get the free version. And again, just put my name in, Laura Haraka, and the 3 different breaths will come up. Okay. Now,
Great.
you asked a little bit about when to do each, right? Because
Yeah.
how do you know what to do and when to do them?
Right.
So for those two, the circular breathing, I could actually do it because I've practiced it so many times. I could do it right now while I'm on the phone
Mm-hmm.
with you if I really, really wanted to, but not while I was speaking because I'd have to put a little more concentration in.
Yeah.
So that breath, I would make sure you have a good 5 to 10 minutes that you can sit in a nice space and take your time to focus on the breath. Now, the yogic breath work you can do anytime, any place. You can do it while you're cooking. You can do it while you're dancing. You can do it while you're driving. And those are things you can do when you're with people and they don't even know it. Like you have no idea that I was doing the ocean breath when you were
No.
introducing me. It's just how I breathe.
Yeah.
So some breath works need a little bit of a longer time and space to sit and do them. And others, you might need to use this yogic breath work. That's why those yogic breath work is so great because you can do them when you're with people and they don't even know.
Mm.
Now, the other type of breath work is conscious connected breath work. And that is what I was talking about that's in the book, The Presence Process. And it's like a reset for your nervous system, kind of like a fuse box. And in that type of breath work, we connect the inhale to the exhale without any gaps or pauses. And we're shifting the oxygen and the carbon dioxide in the body. And this is an active breath work. We can not do this, while we're driving or,
Yeah.
I don't recommend doing it while, you're doing anything that you have to pay attention to. So what you're doing is you're bringing in the inhale and the exhale, and you're doing it a little quicker than normal breathing. And this practice allows us to temporarily bypass the ego and the thinking mind, step out of our stories of the future and the past. And it can create a transcendental experience, which allows for physical and emotional healing to take place. So just by lying down and doing this breathing, and you can do it sitting as well, inhaling and exhaling at a little faster than normal breathing, you can release trauma and reset the nervous system. And it also helps you release your emotions. And I honestly saw my pain change very quickly using this technique. And I will tell you, I have these available on my store, on my website, but anyone listening to your podcast, if they'd like to use the coupon code to buy one of them, obviously for free, um,
Mhm.
using the code free breather, they can use one of them, experiment, see what it's like. I recommend, if you're doing this for the first time, to download the one that says release pain, and the coupon code will give you a free breath work. So if any of your listeners are listening, they can try one of them out for free.
Very cool. Thank you. And we will be sure to link to that in the show notes so you guys can find that easily.
Yeah. And I have one more breath work.
Okay.
Bateko breathwork. Now, Bateko breathwork is by Patrick McCowan, and he is the creator of the Oxygen Advantage program. And this is completely different than the other three. So that's why I had to just take it, this
Yeah.
class. And what it does is it focuses on light, slow, and low breathing. And it improves carbon dioxide tolerance and nervous system regulation. So, what you're doing is you're breathing lighter, leaving a little air in the room for everybody else, breathing lower and slower. And when we do this type of breathing, what's going to happen is you'll feel that your hands might start sweating. You might start getting more saliva developing or coming in your mouth. And that's showing that you're getting more oxygen into your body. But you don't want to do it so you're experiencing too much breath hunger. So if you're
Mm.
trying this at home, right, if you're getting too much breath hunger, if you're feeling you're gasping for air, slow down a little bit less, take in a little more air. You're trying to get it almost to the sweet spot where you're taking a little less, a little lower, and a little slower without that gasping for air, kind of like the sweet spot on a tennis racket. And what this does is it helps people with chronic pain. He has
Okay.
done studies on fibromyalgia and pelvic pain that by doing this type of breath work, I think he said about 3, 4 times a day, for about 20 minutes. By the time I took this class, my chronic pain was gone. So I couldn't really experiment with that. But I will tell you, I use it throughout the day at different times, and it's extremely helpful. And again, back to your question about when to use it, ask your body what it wants, when it wants it, and what it needs. So every morning when I wake up, I do my breath work and I say, body, what do you feel like today?
Mm.
Oh, I feel like just doing a little ocean breath for 2 minutes. Oh, I feel like I can use a little conscious connected breath work, connecting the inhale and the exhale. Oh, maybe I'll try some circle breathing. So I ask my body what it wants and needs. Make sense?
Makes total sense. You're listening to your body's needs. That's what this is all about.
And people might say, how do you know what your body needs? Well, if you think about it, if you go to a restaurant, how do you know what you want on the menu. You
Hmm.
have a feeling, a gut feeling of, oh, I feel like chicken. Oh, I feel like
Yeah.
hamburgers, whatever it is. So ask your body and it'll answer.
Yeah, totally. I feel like that's something I've been leaning into more and more in many areas of life as far as diet and movement and so many different things. Our bodies are very intuitive if we just learn to tune into them and listen to what it really needs. So I love
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. That's so interesting, and I love that there's so many different modalities with breath work. There's so many different approaches, different ways to use it. Because I know, when I first was learning about breath work, I didn't realize how many different types of breath work out there, and they all have their own place. They all have their own benefits, and I think that's very cool. And I definitely encourage everybody to go and give it a try, right?
Yeah.
Laura is offering these amazing free resources. I actually love Insight Timer, that app. I use it frequently for meditation and things like that. So it's a great app to check out. And definitely look up Laura and find the breath work that you have on there. I think that's fantastic. I would love, I know you've shared a couple of stories along the way, of course, your own story, and you were sharing about the person you were working with who had the restless leg syndrome. But of course, everybody's listening to this always wonders, well, is this something that could work for me? Everybody has their own unique story, their own unique journey. And of course, trying to touch base on all the things would take hours, but I would love if you could maybe just share a few examples of just some different transformations that you've seen, different scenarios that have come up that you've seen supported through the somatic experiencing, breath work, some combination of that, just so we can hear a little bit about what kind of people this can be helpful for.
Yeah. Well, I'll start off by saying that I want people to experiment and
Mm.
see what their bodies like. And because you might go on these breath works and be like, oh, I didn't really like the circle breathing. No big deal. Try something else. I have clients that really like the somatic experiencing. And if that's what they like, we don't really do the breath work. And I have clients that are like, oh, this conscious connected breath work really helped me release my emotions or be with my body. So we lean more toward that. So I have people that have chronic pelvic pain mostly. That's most of my population of
Okay.
clients. And I had a client that was in a extremely bad plane accident. And what we did was we were able to go back, not into the trauma, but back into her body when she knew she was safe.
Hmm.
Because what happened is her body was still living in that plane accident,
Yeah.
replaying the story. And even though she wasn't in that plane anymore for years, her
Yeah.
body was experiencing chronic pain. So when we were able to go back into or fast forward into the future kind of thing and go back to the first moment that her body knew she was safe or that she knew she was
Hmm.
safe, who she saw in the moment, who was there with her. And once we were able to do that, her body was able to relax. Her body was able to be like, oh, wow, I am safe. So that's why, listen, I'm a big believer in affirmations. I have post it notes all over my coffee table downstairs with different things that I'm working on. Just because I don't have chronic pain doesn't mean I'm not working on
Yeah.
my life things, right? We're all
Totally.
working for the rest of our life.
Yeah. If you're
So
alive, you're working on something.
exactly. If you're alive, you're working on something. We all have things happening to us.
Yeah.
So I believe in affirmations, but sometimes it's gaslighting ourselves when we're saying, oh,
Mm.
I'm safe, I'm safe, but we don't feel safe. We want to remind our body and have a bodily experience of being safe. So when I was able to bring her back to the point where who she saw, what happened, what was happening when she realized she was safe, her body was like able to relax and take it in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah. And another way, I'll give you another example, and I can use her, I can use other people. I have a lot of people with sitting pain. Okay.
Okay.
I actually have a new client with sitting pain, and she's having miraculous results with this. So, what happens with sitting pain? It's not really that our body it's are broken, unless, obviously we've ruled out the physical, that there's nothing going on. And what we were able to do was realize that it wasn't the sitting that was causing the problem. It was the fear of the sitting that was causing the
Hmm.
problem. So the technique that I use is more like a graded exposure slash somatic practice. Okay. Because sometimes when something is so activating to someone, it can really dysregulate them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to use somatic tools with them, which are grounding and orienting and resourcing to show them that they're safe in their body right now. And then what we do is we bring up the trigger. We bring up the fear of sitting. This works for foods. It works for if it's a smell. It works for people. It doesn't matter what it is. And what you do is you bring up the fear and notice the fear in your body. And we're with the fear, saying hello to the fear, putting your hand on where you feel the fear in your body, and actually being with the fear and calming the fear, showing your brain and your body that that sitting or that food or that person is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And while we do that, we're using our somatic tools of feeling our feet on the floor, feeling our back supported by the chair, maybe noticing the safety in the room so that we are with the body and we don't promote our bodies to get too dysregulated at once
Yeah.
because that's not helpful. So it's sometimes being with little pieces of the fear. And once we're able to do that, I have people all the time regaining their ability to sit, eating spicy foods. I'm drinking water right now with some grapefruit in it. If you had
Mm.
told me that I had to drink this in 2015, I'd say, no, my bladder is going to hurt. But I
Yeah.
was able to retrain my brain using somatics and PRT, pain reprocessing therapy, to be able to drink anything I want now.
Awesome. I love that so much. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I that's these are some of the tools I offer at the Pelvic Healing Circle. We do
Nice.
something called, I call it sensation reprocessing. I've kind of renamed what Alan Gordon calls pain reprocessing because I find the word pain to be activating to people. So I call it
Sure.
sensation reprocessing, and it's something we do in my circle.
Very cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, definitely encourage everybody to go check that out. Well, this has been such a fantastic conversation, Laura. I'm so fascinated by all of this. It's one of those things that it just I feel like it can give hope to people who maybe don't have a lot of that left, who have been struggling for a long time and have been to all the doctors and all the practitioners and haven't found the support that they really need or haven't found full relief, that this can be something to turn to. And it may feel a little bit different. It may feel unique to anything that you've tried before. But like you said, what have you got to lose?
Yeah.
It's breathing. It's something that we're doing all day, every day. I know that somatic experiencing there's more to it than that, of course, but
Right.
it's something that so many people can turn to as a new way to approach their health and their life and all the things. So thank you so, so much for sharing all of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. I just love to share my story. If it can give hope to just one of your listeners out there,
Mhm.
there is hope and you can heal.
Amazing. I love that. I would love if you can just share where we can find you, connect with you. What are the best places for that?
Right, sure. So you can email me at mbcoachlaura@gmail.com. You can find me on TikTok, Feel to Heal Wellness, and on Instagram as Feel to Heal Wellness, and also on LinkedIn. You can also visit my website, feeltoheal.live. And on there, I have my Pelvic Healing Circle membership, along with my useful links that will attach you to all the Insight Timer and YouTube videos and my podcast, Beyond the Pelvis.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. We will be sure to link to all of that in the show notes so you guys can find that easily. And thank you so much today for being here, Laura. It's been my absolute pleasure having you and chatting with you. I feel like I've learned so much myself. That's one of the reasons I love having these conversations. I feel like everybody has something to share, something to give, and I love that you're bringing these beautiful gifts to the world.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Much love to you, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to Aligned to Rise. If this episode spoke to you, take a moment to share it with a friend who needs this message too. And then don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll see you next time, my friend. Let's rise together.